Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first video format, My Favorite Product. My name is John, the host. This is part of the Build It, Ship It venture, and we have a really exciting guest for our very first one. I'm super excited to have Emily Patterson here. Hi, Emily.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you are a celebrity in the product space, so I can't believe you are willing to do this, and I'm honored.
Thank you. Celebrity
Uh,
might be an exaggeration, but I appreciate it.
in the product space. I didn't say in the
Right.
pop
Very
music
niche
or
area.
film. Yeah, yeah, but it's an
Fair.
important, I think it's an important space, but um yeah, thanks again for being here. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what we do here, we are exploring the favorite product of the people who make products and build products and evolve products and manage products. So as I mentioned, Emily's been doing this a long time, but Emily, would you mind giving a quick intro
Yeah.
for everyone
Yeah.
watching?
Absolutely. So I've been in product management for about 15 or so years. I kind of came into it from business analysis, kind of as the tech scene in Chicago was really pivoting towards calling people product people instead of business analysis people. So kind of a lucky rebrand for me at the right time at the right place. Um, I've worked in a bunch of different industries, primarily in B2B SaaS. And I'm currently in cybersecurity. I've been doing cybersecurity for a couple of years now, doing vulnerability management. My current firm is Finite State, where I'm the director of product there for a pretty small but mighty team of PM and product design. And in my quote unquote spare time, I founded a product manager training program, incubator, if you will, called In the Lab Product Management.
That is,
And yeah,
yeah.
let me think if there's anything else to add. I live outside of Chicago and I'm a mom of two. And I love being nerdy about products.
Yeah, and that was another reason I was really excited to have you join us is I mean that the day job is great too, doing product management, of course, but what you're doing within the lab is just incredible. Yeah, we'll plug it at the end for sure, but did you want to say anything now about what's going on with the next cohort or the mission behind the venture?
Yeah, so we're all focused on pulling more folks from underrepresented backgrounds into product management. As I think a lot of product people are aware, sometimes it tends to get a little bit limited in our diversity and inclusion efforts, and this is an attempt to kind of bring more folks in. I focus on career changers, especially who have a little bit more of a tough time getting into product, right? They don't have a lot of those APM programs to lean on. So helping those people really get up to speed. We build a product. Basically, it's a great program. It really works. We've had really great success stories so far. And essentially, the folks in the cohort just literally go through the build process and build their own product using a no-code tool. And then we have a nice little presentation at the end and get some really great feedback and mentorship from other product professionals, directors, VPs, CPOs, those sorts of folks. So we've got a pretty good little group right now in cohort 3. We just kicked off. Cohort 4 is starting in August. Very exciting stuff. We do get a lot
Wow,
of applicants because it is a free program.
doesn't get
So
much better than that. Yeah,
yeah. So it's a limited application window, but if anyone has other questions about it, I'm always happy to chat about it, happy to walk you through what we're all about it in the lab. And we're really grateful to all of our supporters, both financial supporters as well as just like showing up for us supporters and dropping our names into conversation supporters. Those folks have been super great to us as we've kind of gotten our feet under us. Yeah, and it's just a really great group of folks. Couldn't ask for a better time. Hanging out with them every Tuesday night is actually probably one of my favorite things of life right now.
that's great.
Besides my kids' soccer games, it's really fun to chat with those folks and get their perspectives and kind of see them make those connections. And we have all sorts of folks from like customer success managers to sales folks to educators and folks coming out of the education system, public schools, those sorts of things. So it's just been really fascinating to kind of hear everyone's stories and how they actually do mesh with product management. which is, something I think a lot of product managers tend to not think about so much. Like we have our little space in our little area, but if you kind of look around you, there's a lot of people doing very similar roles to us, really similar roles to product, just with different titles in different industries. So it's educational for me too.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thanks for doing that for obviously the community at large and also the product management industry. So, and I think it's inthelabpm.com, right? If somebody wanted to check it out, and they're part of, an underrepresented group. So, excellent. All right, so let's get to my favorite product. We have format here. We have a few questions for you. Probably most important, what is the product you wanted to talk about today, and what problem does it solve?
Yes, I would like to talk about Coda. Coda is kind of similar to like Confluence or Notion. It's what I consider a wiki, although they might use a different word to describe their product. But I like it for being a central repository for any of your documentation, brainstorming, roadmaps, all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's excellent. What is it about the product that delights you? What makes it a winning product for you?
There's a lot that I have used Confluence, which is an Atlassian product, since, gosh, like 2012 or something like that. Like a very long time I've been using Confluence as part of my job. And it's really one of the things when I approached Coda was kind of, trying to see like what's different, what's the same, all those sorts of things. We'd also been using Notion recently, so I was doing a lot of comparisons in my head. One of the things that I really liked about it initially was there are two things. One is they have a really great embed functionality, which when you're writing docs, it's really nice to really put like an image or something without having to go download something, upload it, right, embed it, make sure you got it labeled and everything. Coda makes it really easy to just drop something in there, and then they will kind of like automatically display like a preview or an image or something like that. So adding things as a card has been very, very cool. It makes the layout visually more appealing, which in my opinion helps people read the materials. Whenever you're kind of met with a block of text, which is how I write my Confluence pages, people tend to like zone out after the first, 3 sentences. So I'm pretty sure, unless they're really dedicated. So being able to really easily kind of add different, cards and images and link previews and those sorts of things, slide previews even, has been just a very cool thing that, in my opinion, helps people really get through the materials. The other kind of like delightful thing about Coda is they use AI to kind of read what you have titled your page and suggest little icons. And
interesting.
As someone who gets really neurotic, like I used to sit in front of Notion being like, I need to find the right icon for this. 30 minutes of my life is gone. Right. I'm never gonna get all that time back. So it's really fun to title something like roadmap, and then they just automatically choose a little map icon. Cool. And it's delightful. It's one of those really great touches that, you don't need it, but it's really fun. And they have a bunch of different like suggestions.
And you're not waking up at 3 a.m. going, did I pick the right icon? I forgot to pick a better icon. Yeah.
I feel like the really neurotic product managers will know what I'm talking about here.
I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right away I knew what you were talking about. So it's interesting too. You talk about the collaboration component of it, but not only is it sounds like it's making it easier for the author to post content, but also making it much more digestible to the reader, therefore obviously increasing the value all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
With cards.
It's been really fun. I moved all of our cohort materials from In the Lab over to Coda a couple of months ago. And it's just been a lot of fun, kind of like figuring out the best format and making things look a lot better. Like not just a page of links and it's HTTP, right? Like none of that, like actual cards full of content. It's just been really fun to stand it up actually, which you don't expect that to be a fun activity, but I had a lot of joy.
And if you can make an activity that's pretty cumbersome fun, right? That's saying a lot about the product. Very neat. I was onboarding someone this morning onto the team and was grabbing all these different, I don't know, I've never used Coda. I thought Coda was a Led Zeppelin album, but here I am now. It's dating myself, but yeah, I was pulling all this different content from different places, and I thought there's got to be an easier way to do this. And I didn't know which product you were going to pick, so I hadn't used Coda. So it's really interesting to hear that maybe it could solve that problem as well. Now, as product people, we know that. Well, I shouldn't just guess. With any product I've managed, there's always been work to do. There's always been imperfections that I've wanted to get to. Is Coda any different? Is there something that you wish their product manager could hear and maybe act on?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's always room for improvement. Feedback is a
Yes.
gift, et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera.
that's right.
One of the things that we really kind of get spun up on in the lab, we host all of our documentation there. So we have just a ton of data. One of the things that I think could be a little bit better would be maybe, and again, like we're living in the age of AI and I know every product manager listening to this has had their CEO knock on their door and say, hey, what kind of AI are we making into our product this week or this quarter? I have gotten that message, right?
I have too.
Everybody has.
Yep.
And one of the things I think could be cool application of that technology is to kind of like auto suggest things like, hey, this is a little messy. Could we clean it up? Does this need to be nested? You haven't updated this page in 6 months. Is it archivable, or like, do you want to update it right now? Because that's kind of the big problem, right? Whenever we have documentation, it gets stale so fast. Like for my day job, I know.
Yes.
And being a busy product person, you do not always have time to like go through and, okay, that's old, I'll archive it. This is current, I'll update it and move it over here, right? That takes a ton of cycles that I know very few product people have unless they're very dedicated to their documentation. So that would be one really cool thing I would like to see that Coda works on. And I know they have an AI feature coming out, but like just any sort of suggestions for layout improvements or kind of nudges. I love nudges. I'm one of those people that like I need the email reminder to constantly find me and say, hey, you got something going on.
It's not annoying to me. In fact, I'm relying on it. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I'm like you.
That's it, exactly. But I think that would be a really great application, and it would reduce a lot of work, manual work, right? Which is what we want to get rid of in product so that we have more time to do the good stuff, right? Like go talk to customers and
it solves the misinformation problem, which happens to me probably on a weekly basis, which is, hey, I found this documentation. Is this still right? It's like, no, we updated all that.
Like, oh no, that feature got sunset 3 weeks
ago.
No.
It doesn't even exist. This is why I have product managers on the show, right? It's good to be able to speak the same language. Okay, so last question about Coda and your journey in product management. How has Coda kind of reshaped your thinking or made you a better product manager?
I think, and this is a bit of a curveball, I think this is a little bit unusual for product people, but I work in a startup, and in the startup, you are responsible for a lot of stuff. We all know that. One of the things that Coda has really made me pay more attention to is pricing, to be very honest with you. One of the major draws of Coda is that you can have a lot of people just viewing your stuff without having to necessarily pay for that seat, because they're not editing, or they might be editing or leaving comments, but they're not creating documents. So Coda has an interesting pricing structure where you're only getting billed for the people actively making pages, which limits it to kind of like your main product team. There's a handful of us, but it does not mean that like other people can't view it. So for in the lab, I can create docs and we can have all of our product pro mentors come and look at them and leave comments and give our cohort members feedback on the materials they're creating without having to pay for that, right? It's a free program. That doesn't mean it's free to run. And I appreciate all costs being lower. And one of the things I was thinking of is how big of a difference that very small change of mentality made for me specifically as a customer. And when you're thinking about product pricing, this might not be something that most PMs get into, right? Sometimes it's like something your chief revenue officer is going to do with your CFO and those sorts of folks. For me, it kind of became top of mind. I just rolled out a new product a couple of months ago at my day job. So I was really kind of thinking about pricing at the time we were moving to Coda, and just the small change that they are thinking about and talking about the pricing made a huge impact on how I think about pricing. Just the incremental cost, and that how you feel that when you're a small company, or when you're just getting started on a product.
Right.
If you're just starting on a product and you're getting billed, $1,000, and it can feel like, oh man, that's a lot, especially if we're not all VC backed. And actually, there was something on Twitter the other day about Datadog. They had a $34 million revenue listed in one of their earnings calls, and everyone was like, oh, what? How much? And I think SaaS tools, right, are like, well, you've got to get the enterprise to get all that cash off the table. But when you're thinking about trying to build a product, especially if you're just starting out and you can't capture that enterprise market, or if you're like Coda and you want to focus on small product teams, like that's your niche. You're like, I really want your team using us deeply, and then we'll get sticky as you grow. I think that just the way that we think about pricing, and like the per seat per month pricing that everybody uses, it's just interesting to kind of think about what that incremental cost does to the customer in their mental journey about actually handing cash over to somebody, actually paying the bill. And it was really eye-opening to me as I kind of sat there and went through it, because I was trying to migrate from Notion. Notion hit me with a $800 bill for 1 month after I added cohort 3, and it was too much. It was way too much, right? So that's why I turned out of Notion entirely, and I took all of my product managers with me. And it's like, Notion might not care, they might not notice, but I think, especially if you're working on a product as a product manager, and you're starting small, or it's a brand new product, or you don't have enterprise accounts, I think it makes a lot of sense to think about that incremental per seat, per license per month, and how that really impacts your customers, and what you can do to make it easier for them to say, yes, I want this. Yes, I'll send this to my friends. Yes, I'm going to invite all, 150 people in my Slack account, which I definitely could not with a different pricing model.
Right.
A little bit of a different thing there. But
I love that, though. I think especially as we grow in our product careers, we all get pulled into pricing conversations.
Eventually.
I've been doing this for, a dozen years or so in the product space, and I still struggle with it, right? Picking the right value metric, and I try to study it when I can, because like you, right, and learning from other products. And I think it's a really good lesson of knowing who your audience is, and really thinking about the impact that'll have. So I think it's I guess a curveball in that it's not inside the product itself, but the usability of the product. But I think that's great. That's a great example.
Impact. Yeah, it is definitely something as you grow in your product career, all of a sudden you get, at some point, someone's going to say, you got to figure out the pricing. And it's good to have your heads up on it.
Yeah, I didn't get into product to learn about RevRec, but I ended up learning about RevRec and revenue recognition. Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt, John.
Yeah, I know it. It's not. I don't chase after RevRec conversations all day, but they end up finding you when you're in product long enough. Just to give another example of the pricing discussion, but no, that's excellent. So Emily, thanks again. Really liked learning about you and kind of your thinking around product. And just so we're doing, again, this is super important what you're doing with in the lab. You want to plug it just one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are a hiring manager looking for product managers that are maybe early career, like 2 to 5 years of experience, we would love to hear from you. We've got a lot of folks who are learning a lot of good lessons, and they are super, super talented naturally. And then we're giving them a really good product toolbox to work out of. So if you have jobs that are open and you would like some help filling them, please do reach out. inthelabpm.com, or I'm Emily at inthelabpm.com. We are looking for people who want to hire our folks. We're also looking for anybody who's interested in volunteering. We have mentors, we have people who help out with our social media, we have people who help out with getting our Ask Me Anything sessions set up. If you're interested in doing an Ask Me Anything session or being on a final panelist and you're a product person, we would love your help. We're always looking for new faces, especially if you yourself are from an underrepresented background, because those stories make a big impact to our cohort members. Yeah, and if anyone is trying to transition into product management and kind of wants to make it an easier journey, feel free to shoot your shot, slide your application into our Airtable. And we look at every single application. I personally look at every single application. So
And you mentioned the Tuesday night, the social aspect of it too. I mean, I was lucky enough, you put me in touch with a few of the folks from your latest cohort, maybe it was the one before or both. And just really talented people, but really nice people. I enjoyed spending the time with them. So
yeah,
great people. I wish I was hiring, again, so I could take that next step. But also, it sounds like there's all sorts of ways for everyone to get involved with what you're doing, which is just again an incredible mission. So thank you, and thanks everyone for checking out our first installment here of My Favorite Product. And thank you, Emily, for making time and being part of it.
thanks, John.
All right, take care.